Did you know Jesus wasn't actually born in a stable? The traditional image of a wooden barn, filled with hay and farm animals, is a popular misconception shaped by centuries of Christmas carols and nativity plays. The real story, rooted in historical and archaeological evidence, points to a very different setting, one that's arguably more humble and authentic to the time and place. So, where was Jesus really born? The answer might surprise you and change the way you picture that first Christmas forever. Let's travel back in time, over 2,000 years ago, to the small town of Bethlehem in the land of Judea. The story begins with a decree from the Roman Emperor Caesar Augustus ordering a census for the entire Roman world. This meant everyone had to return to their ancestral hometown to be registered. For Joseph, a carpenter from Nazareth in Galilee, this meant a long and arduous journey of about 90 miles south to Bethlehem, the town of his ancestor, King David. His betrothed, Mary, was heavily pregnant at the time, making the trip on foot or by donkey incredibly challenging. It was this imperial command that set the stage for one of the most significant events in human history. Upon arriving in Bethlehem, they were met with a crowded town, overflowing with people who had also returned for the census. The Gospel of Luke tells us that there was no room for them in the inn. Now, the word inn in this context, translated from the Greek word asterisk kataluma asterisk, likely didn't mean a commercial hotel like we think of today. In that culture, hospitality was a sacred duty, and it's unlikely a pregnant woman would have been turned away without any offer of shelter. A more accurate translation of asterisk kataluma asterisk is guest room or upper room. Most homes in ancient Bethlehem were simple, often two-level structures. The upper level was the main living space, the guest room, where the family would eat, sleep, and entertain visitors. This space was already full, so where did they go? The lower level of these homes was often a space carved out of the limestone hillside, essentially a cave where the family's most valuable animals, a donkey, a cow, or a few sheep, were brought in at night for safekeeping and warmth. This area wasn't a separate, detached stable or barn. It was part of the family home, a domestic space just a few steps down from the main living quarters. It was likely in one of these humble, cave-like lower rooms among the family's animals that Mary and Joseph found shelter. This location provided privacy and warmth, a stark but practical refuge. It was here, in the quiet intimacy of a family's animal quarters, that Mary gave birth to her son, Jesus. She wrapped him in swaddling clothes and, as the scriptures say, laid him in a manger, a feeding trough for the animals because there was no other cradle available. This understanding paints a far more intimate and historically accurate picture. Jesus wasn't born in a cold, isolated wooden barn, but in the lower level of a family home, surrounded by the warmth and sounds of domestic life. This wasn't a story of rejection, but one of humble hospitality within the constraints of a crowded town. The family who owned the home likely offered them the only space they had left. Today, if you visit Bethlehem, the Church of the Nativity is built over a cave that tradition holds to be this very spot. Archaeological evidence of first-century homes in the region supports this model of a house, with a lower-level animal shelter. This reframing of the nativity scene doesn't diminish its power. Instead, it grounds it in the reality of first-century life, making the story even more profound. The King of Kings entered the world not in a palace, but in the humblest part of a commoner's home, a detail that speaks volumes about the nature of his message and mission.